Good morning. Good to see you here today. Open source is not always about serious business, it's also about, can also be fun. And today we have two big speakers from Germany who will introduce the Veripeditus project, which means it's in the feed or something. That's Nick and that's Eike, who's only 15, but he will do the most of the talk, and please give them a warm round of applause.
So, good morning everyone. I'll only give you a short introduction to the both of us, and as the Harold already said, we will then ask only to Eike. We try to figure out how to split up this talk into two parts for the two of us, and then we found out that actually Eike wanted to do most of it. So I will just take a seat after the introduction, and yeah, basically everything to the show. Okay, so this is Eike. He used to be a student of mine, and recently we got engaged in this quite groundwork project, I'd say. And I'm Nick. I'm working as a software developer at Cloud Solutions in Germany, and I'm also head of Tickets, the German FOSDEM youth organization, and yeah. Okay, that's basically everything I wanted to say. Now, Eike, please go.
So this is the overview of what today's talk will consist of. First, I will talk about what Veripeditus is and how you can use it. Then we will look at how to create games with Veripeditus and how the framework was developed. After that, we will go through the current features and future features, and then Nick will do the last topic again. About the blog. What is Veripeditus? Veripeditus is a free framework for the creation of AR games. AR stands for Augmented Reality, which is something between virtual reality and normal real life. So it extends the real life with some functionalities of virtual reality, which you may know from games like Pokemon Go and Ingress. The framework is mostly built around the idea of easy creation of games, and is also very fast. So you have the whole game on the t-shirt. It's a whole game, and the best part about it is that you can even beginners can get started with programming with the help of Veripeditus due to its easiness, and everybody can run servers. You can even write your own clients for it and play the games using any mobile browser you have on your smartphone or tablet. How Veripeditus got started? Veripeditus got started mainly because we wanted just a fun project together. We always had some projects together, but they mostly got adopted, so we didn't have one. And with the announcement of Pokemon Go, the augmented reality genre seemed to get popular, and so we thought maybe we could get started with that too. Pokemon Go is also known for privacy hassle just like Ingress. And we wanted to create a free alternative for it. We had too many ideas about what a game to create. First we wanted to create an MMORPG style game, then we wanted to create a clone of Ingress. So we just thought to make it a framework so we can make as many games as we like, and everybody else can do. After some time, around summer 2016, the framework got more and more powerful, and we found out that it would be a great idea to just set new goals, one of which is to make development with Veripeditus as easy as possible. So that's one of our goals now, alongside enabling various use fields for augmented reality, which we will come back to later. Just have a quick break. Okay, so before I will go on about Veripeditus and its development, we will look at how to make a game with Veripeditus. This is the basic workflow for making a game. So first we plan the game objects you want, like NPCs and items that spawn on the map. Maybe you want a merchant, then you take a merchant and plan where it is located, how it will work in the game, how it will affect the plot in the game if one is existent, and then you will do the same thing for items and how they will affect the game, how the player can use them. After planning out the game logic, you put it together in simple Python classes and implement the logic in the functions and methods. This is the game that's printed on our sweaters. That is basically it's just a simple Python module, and I will give you some time to read it and think about it, what the code does, and maybe you can figure it out by yourself, and then I can explain it. So, does anyone have any ideas of what this code does and what it could do in the game? Yes?
You reach anything in the street that's labeled school, school game will pop up.
Yes, that's right. Anything else? Yes? Yes, that's also correct. So, as you may have seen, at the beginning there's a player class with just written has in it. So, for everyone who's not familiar with Python, has simply does nothing. So, this is just a player class derived from the player class in the framework with no special behavior. Then we create an NPC named AnyChild and give it an attribute FOSDEM, which is a dictionary where you can put together tag value keys for OpenStreetMap tags like building double point school. It has the image of a school kid that's done by the attribute default image. You'll simply set it to the name of your image without its extension, and Veripeditus automatically fetches it from the data directory in the game path. The onTalk method in the NPC class is triggered whenever you press on the NPC and press the talk button. We will see the UI in a short time, and then the text pops up, I can make AR games. This is how the game looks when played. So in the first image you see the map that you see on the screen. The player is the yellow P marker. So when moving close to the school, the NPC spawns, and when clicking on the NPC, you see this little window with its name written at the top and the action buttons at the bottom. And when pressing talk, this text message pops up, and it will also affect the game in various ways, like changing the player's inventory and checking its contents, changing the player's attributes, making new items and NPCs spawn, stuff like that. This is the camera view, and you press on the the middle button in the top left corner. You can change from map view to camera view, in which you see objects perspectively morphed at their corresponding positions in the view field of a camera. We had a hard time developing this. It's still not perfect, but it works well most of the time. So that's cool. Now we will come to how the framework was developed. So this is our design. These are our design goals. As I already said, we wanted to make the game framework as easy to use as possible, while still allowing the developers to add arbitrary complex code. Because it's not a domain-specific language, it's plain Python. You can use the whole Python standard library, any other Python modules. So you could use the random module for randomizing spawn locations and stuff like that. The framework provides all of the basic objects you need to develop games, like items, NPCs, and locations. Locations aren't implemented yet, but we are working on that. So the player is simply the player that can have special attributes, which you can determine in the player class of your game. Items are objects that the player can collect. You can store it in the inventory. You can drop them on the map. They will be found on the map. They can trigger events, just like NPCs. NPCs are a bit more complex. They because they have this onTalk method, they can trigger much more complex game logic, and locations are basically NPCs that are invisible and automatically triggered. So you walk into the defined location and then something happens. The technologies used are in the backend Python 3 with an SQL ICME and OSM ICME ORM, and a Flask web framework. In the frontend we use HTML5, JavaScript, CSS3, Leaflet, jQuery, and a jQuery UI. We also used AngularJS at the time, but it didn't turn out so well, so we came with that again. And we have synchronous for HTTP API. What's already there? Yeah. The framework already has, as already said, items and NPCs, the player class, but there are more classes planned that you can use in your games. You can make your object spawn at FOSDEM tags, so like spawn an apple at every tree, or something in that direction. You can collect items and talk to NPCs. You can trigger a game logic by that, so you can already make little stories with your games. We have the map view, the camera view, which we will make a more 3D view. We want to implement WebGL 3D models. We already have a debug mode, which is accessed easily by just adding a question mark equals true at the end of your URL when using Veripeditus in the browser. Veripeditus is currently already used in a public school in Germany at the Veripeditus, where students work with Veripeditus in weekly coding lessons and get started with programming that way. They also contribute to the project already. They make issues on GitHub. I don't know if you know GitHub. So they have feature requests which we see, which we will implement. So everybody can contribute to the project. As already said, which that was the thing that we will come back to, Veripeditus has more use cases than just gaming. You can have Veripeditus in the integration menus in the context of you can use it for weekly coding lessons and get students started with programming more easily. Students are, I guess, more interested in gaming than in, I don't know, some other technologies that are currently used in science classes and coding lessons. They learn about databases, about how object-oriented programming works. You can also use it interdisciplinary, so you could program a game in the coding lessons and use it in history class maybe to have some kind of tool help if you are in a city that has historical weight, like maybe one, then you can make NPCs and items from there which tell the children stories and stuff. You can also use it for tourism and attractions. If you say have a museum and you want a tour guide, and you can make a simple tour guide. You can even make the tour guide follow a specific line with the game logic triggered with auto methods and the NPCs. And as my Chinese question, does anyone already have some ideas for the framework that can be implemented?
You already have stuff like quiz questions, something like that?
Yeah, they can be implemented with the auto method. Yeah, we already have it in the debug mode. We can simply click on the screen and fake a request position with that. We can even change a fake view direction, so we can test the camera view, which we can even move in with the WASD keys. So, anything else? Yes, theoretically we could, but they. So if anybody has ideas, you can just send in a feature request at GitHub, and then we will work on that with kind of don't know. But everybody can contribute to the project, as I already said. The students already contribute to the project. Planned features are improved web application and it's broke again. We want to implement sound support so that when you use items or when you talk to NPCs, you can hear some beeping sound or something, just for some feedback to make it more exciting. We want to make a customizable HUD, so you can have HQ bars or something else at the top of the screen or at the bottom, just as you like. We want an interactive and live game creator, which we have a high priority on. So you can, while testing the game, you can edit the game window. We want to have it like other game making programs like Game Maker and RPG Maker, so you can click your games together. And this is actually the game.
Thanks Ike for giving this very exciting part of the talk. Ike already talked a lot about what Veripeditus could be used for. I really do hope that it will find its way into education in some way. So, it can be used for getting children kickstarted or getting students of all ages kickstarted in coding and probably lower the make it easier to get into. We are very open to all kinds of ideas and feature requests, so we can make Veripeditus work in the field that people would like to use it, like new features for education or tourism or whatever comes up. We're really open to that, so if anyone has something where they want to use AR gaming and they want to create such a game and some things don't really work the way they should, or they could be simpler, then we are very open to making these changes. There are also some things that you can do for us, and that's one of the reasons why we are here and giving this talk. Right now, Veripeditus has 3 active developers, and the community that reports ideas and issues mainly consists of the students at the school where Veripeditus is already used in this early stage. We would really love to see more people try it and use it and maybe find out what can be done with free AR gaming and free AR game creation, and really report their ideas to us. And what we really need is some Google that is really fit in JavaScript and CSS3, especially this three-dimensional stuff. If someone feels that they could actually help out with a three-dimensional view or maybe wants to learn how to do it and find it out themselves, there are a few things that could be fixed in Veripeditus. So we really do hope that a few people will maybe join the community and help us make this framework better. Okay. There are a few places on the internet where you can find us, where you can follow us to not miss the beta release, which we hope to take place at the Chemnitz Linux Days. We do not have the talk approval for the Chemnitz Linux Days yet, but we plan to release the beta version there, which will include the visual game creator, so we can just go to veripeditus.org and log in with an account and just start creating games. And yeah, if you don't want to miss this, feel free to follow us on GitHub or on Twitter, or just send us an email and say, hey, have you really get something? Okay, so there are a few places where you can follow the project. Okay, we have put together some numbers just because we can't. Today we have reached exactly 1,000 commits in Veripeditus, which is a nice number for Postman, I think. Yeah, and it's something between something about two lines of code in the project already. Yeah, it's quite good. Okay. So maybe if you want to have grown these numbers, you possibly read out. Now to the cool part, there is a game that can be played here on campus today and tomorrow, and well, until we drop the database on the Veripeditus server again. You can actually try what Veripeditus can do with the game. The code is already online on GitHub. There we just put together a showcase for the basic features of the framework. You can start the game by going to the non-play character, the NPC that is standing outside the exit of building K, I think this exit there. And you can talk to the NPC and he will tell you what you have to do to finish the game. We do this firstly so you can have a bit of fun with it and see what it does. And also to find bugs, of course, because I hope there will be a few testers with different devices. Our budget is very limited, so we can only test with like 2 or 3 different mobile devices, which is very sad, especially while mobile browsers are not in such a compatible and good condition anyway. If you play the game and you find any issues, please don't just get bored and stop playing. So please actively report to us so we can really use this conference to flatten the path to the better release and really make it work. We know that the camera view only works in Firefox on Android, which is sad, but we couldn't get it fixed because every single damn mobile browser does things differently in regards of the video screens. And we decided to target one browser in a well-working fashion and not just support many browsers, and then it looks bad. Okay, if you find any issues, please ping us with an email or Twitter or something, or just find us. We might be hanging out with these hard to overlook treasures somewhere on campus. Okay, this would be really great. We really appreciate that. Okay, and again, you can find the complete code of the game you can play here. Also, you can use this for educational purposes, you can use it for student purposes too. Okay. So last we can say is a big thank you for attending this talk. We also have to thank a few projects and people who helped us create Veripeditus, which are listed above. And for those of you who wonder how you get OpenStreetMap data into a Python program or into a web application in a quite easy manner, and in a manner that needs really low resources, I can invite you to a small, which should have become a workshop, now it has become a small introduction. In the geospatial lab room, I think it's age 20 to 40. Tomorrow there will be an introduction into FOSDEM alchemy, which is a library that bridges the SQL alchemy or ORM system with OpenStreetMap to make OpenStreetMap live data look just like an SQL database. If you're interested in this, feel free to join us tomorrow. Yeah, okay. So that's it for our talk. We have still a bit of time left for questions. I think I will pass the microphone and we can do a question round if you have anything to ask.
Yes, hello. The Veripeditus project looks important for high-level low-level creation and creating your creating games immediately when you get an idea and getting people involved immediately in the creation. However, I'm more interested in the advanced API that you mentioned. Is there some kind of API for low-level connection that doesn't define these primitives like player and item and so on, which are sort of game specific?
Okay. Well, we quite follow the Python principle there. There is an API that has a lot of abstraction, and you can use something like player.drop item, and then it will drop the item that you pass as an argument. If you don't want to do this, if you want to do low-level programming, you just use the Python objects from the framework, and you can really use all of it just as you like. You don't hide any of the code anywhere. You can just use whatever Python code and Python library you like, introspect the framework, and just put in everywhere you like. So there's no advanced API, but we do not hide the complexity of the framework, so you can use all of it. Does that answer your question, or did I get it wrong? Yeah. All right.
How have you come up with this name? Maybe just an explanation.
Okay, was it missing in the slide? Okay. The Herald already said that it might have to do something with feet, yes, and it actually has. It's from Veripeditus, which is Latin for the truth, the reality, and Pedis, which is Latin for feet, so it basically means you can move around with your feet in reality and still be playing the game.
Hello. What kind of interactions do you support with locations? I ask because I tried to implement a couple of years ago when I was playing Ingress, virtual bike racing game. And for that I wanted to be able to pass through locations and to test at what angle and what direction a player was coming through a location and trigger events based on that. Does your location API support that kind of interaction?
Right now, you can only place items and NPCs in locations you like, and you can interactively interact with them. But on the roadmap, there's an item that says we want to have locations that are just triggered by passing them in any defined radius. But I didn't acoustically understand all of your question. Was it that you wanted to also find out the geometry of the player moving through some rectangle or something?
Yes, imagine any kind of racing game, you have checkpoints, you want to make sure that someone's passing along the course of the correct angle rather than just hitting checkpoints in any order.
So this basically boils down that you want the history of the player's location and do mathematical magic with it. Yeah. Sounds interesting. Please visit GitHub and report an issue if you like. We will take this into account.
And do you have any sort of plans for mobile application that you could, for example, point to the game implementation that you want, so that you wouldn't use it through a browser, but a mobile application that you want?
Yeah, we tried a few things with this. Writing an HTML5 application turned out to be really exciting in every way. It turned out to be simpler than using all the different Android libraries and iOS libraries, or just create a platform-independent application of all these frameworks that are around for this. I'm not really sure what the future of such applications is. When I look at many mobile applications these days, they all just seem to do a browser. Maybe with some additions to it, but most of them turn out to be moving towards the browser way to do things. We had an Android application that wrapped a web view and styled it a bit and displayed the HTML5 application, which we had to drop because the Android developers decided to not provide access to the device orientation, which made the camera view not work. And they just support it in web view applications. We are not sure, but as the API is open and everyone can create an application, we are very open to someone creating native mobile applications, but we have no plans to do this ourselves in the future.
Okay, thanks.
How's it with documentation? Is it already easy to start yourself and have a look through like documentation or maybe some other coding examples, what kind of NPCs and items you have?
The documentation right now consists of the provider documentation and the source files, which can be extracted with the provider tool. We want to put it together a concise API documentation from this, and also some examples for every single idea we patented how to use for the framework. And there are at least 2 fully functioning example games on GitHub linked in our organization page, which are partially self-explaining, partially well commented, which you can learn from. With the first beta release, of course, there will be a concise documentation page for it. So let's see to do it.
License if you choose and why? Which license did you choose and why?
We chose the Affero General Public License. Mainly, it was Ike's choice. I don't want to blame him. I would have loved a more open license, but I can understand that there is, when you do such a project and you really love it and you really put your heart and soul into it, and you do it the first time or even if you do it the 100th time, you want to make it open but still have the best protection for it you can get. So that's probably the reason why we chose AGPL for now. We are certainly open for relicensing if someone cannot use it on AGPL. So thank you.